is with great pleasure that I stand here today on behalf of Kanayo Nwanze, the President of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, before such a large gathering of distinguished guests and key decision makers on the occasion of the Brazil-Africa Dialogue on Food Security, Hunger and Rural Development. Our world, from the fields of Brazil and Burundi to the halls of government, has become global. This change is allowing us to be connected at all times, particularly because of technological innovation. This new environment has its consequences, both positive and negative. The meeting today is an opportunity to take advantage of this globalization and is yet another testimony that we can all work together to create a conducive environment for agriculture-led economic growth. We gather here today at very challenging times. The financial crisis and the global economic slowdown of 2008 and 2009 are still felt deeply amongst us, especially by smallholder farmers in Africa and Brazil, who produce around 70% of the food consumed in those regions. The food crisis and global recession have negatively impacted the rural population. This was further exacerbated by climate change and various natural disasters around the globe. The Haiti earthquake, followed by more earthquakes in China and Chile, have made us ever more conscious of our need to create policies that directly address food security. Sub-Saharan Africa was hard hit by the global economic crisis, with regional GDP growth at just 1.1% last year, according to the World Bank. This year, growth is expected to reach 4.8% in the region. But the strength of the recovery will largely depend on demand from key export markets and the ability of African countries to be competitive in those markets. Meanwhile, yet another new crisis is looming in Europe, where the traditional donors to African countries have historically high government deficits. The recent trend of downgrades in Greek, Portuguese, and Spanish government bonds is equally disturbing. The problem can easily spread to other European countries, such as Ireland and Italy, while at the same time, the Eurozone is under severe pressure, as are Japan and the UK. Clearly, the global economic situation we face today is totally different from what we have experienced before, highlighting the ever-increasing need for us to collaborate. This South-South Cooperation meeting, therefore, could not have come at a better time. And by allowing the dialogue to focus on food security and rural development, we have a unique opportunity to create lasting mechanisms to end poverty worldwide. The Accra Plan of Action states that South-South cooperation in the field of development is to ensure the principle of non-interference in countries' internal affairs, equality among developing partners, and the respect for their independence, their national sovereignty, the diversity of cultures, local identity, and context. It plays an important role in international cooperation for development and constitutes an invaluable complement to North-South cooperation. A recent review by the United Nations on South-South cooperation concluded that aid is only one factor among many others in the development landscape, and OECD countries no longer stand alone when it comes to financing poor countries, with non-OECD donors such as China, India, Brazil, and the Gulf countries emerging to play key roles in increasing the volume of development assistance. In this context, and under the form of economic and technical cooperation among developing countries and middle-income countries, South-South trade has intensified, and in 2006, it represented 46% of the total exports of developing countries. In terms of volume, foreign direct investments in developing countries increased by 17% in 2005. This trend is now being sustained and provides opportunities for both Brazil and Africa. Brazil, along with China and India, is leading this trend as its trade volume with Africa rose from 5 billion in 2002 to 19.9 billion in 2007. Part of the reason for this positive trend is the fact that the infrastructure sector has become a priority for development. We must not forget that without them, trade and rural development is difficult, if not impossible. In the end, water, energy, roads, ports, and telecommunication are essential elements to development and growth. Further, without infrastructure of any magnitude, from small feeder roads to large ports and highways, water for irrigation, energy for automation, and telecommunication for access to market information, food security will not be achieved.